Hello, everybody. This is Appa Brian and Appa Baseball Classics with our weekly show, Picks to Post, where Dan Mattingly and myself join together to pick each NFL game. We're picking winners and losers. Hi, Dan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Great week of football. Can't wait to talk about it with you.
Oh, yeah, I had a good time putting my picks together. First of all, there is a word for the day, and that is parity.
Brian, can you use that word in a sentence for me?
The NFL is seeking to reach each team being equal, achieving parity. And I think they've achieved it.
I think so too.
So, how we do last week? The most important part is we competed with Rob exclamation point his channel, and we had a good week. We differed on 5 picks, and we came out on top on 4 of those 5 picks. So we lost the Tennessee pick as a channel, but the Pittsburgh, New England, Seattle, and Tampa Bay games, we picked the right team. They didn't. So this week, it's picks to boast. Next week, they might win.
Exactly. Hey, we'll take our time in the sun.
Overall, I went 9-7, and Justin went 9-7. You were 8-8. Most everybody had a tough week. I have some followers that are sending me picks. I missed one of Bruins fans' picks, but he won 6 games. DJ 4444 was 7-9. Matt McClellan was 6-10. So overall, everyone pretty much had a tough day. I watched the Sportsman Z channel. He has a YouTube channel in Chicago. He's a Bears White Sox fan. He had a good week, 10-6. I've not contacted him about any kind of a competition. I like the way he does his picks. He uses the helmets. He puts them up and he tosses the one he doesn't like. I've always collected helmets, and I've always been obsessed with helmets, so I like using helmets as well. All right, this week we start off with a Thursday night game. It's going to be in Cincinnati. It's going to be whiteout. Cincinnati, they're going to wear white helmets with black tiger stripes, white uniforms. And they're hosting the 3-0 Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, it should be a good game. Cincinnati really showed signs of life last week. Burrow looked like himself. I think Boyd is playing great this year. If they can get Chase going a little bit better and Higgins stays healthy, that offense should start clicking. Mixon has had some good games. I worry about the offensive line every week. They are porous. They give up sacks. And sometimes Joe Burrow just can't he can't make up for all the mistakes up front. Defense is okay. I would say about league average, but not much better. And the Dolphins are scary. That was an impressive win against Buffalo. I realize, Allen was really moving the ball fairly well, but the defense did enough. Really, as time went out on the last seconds of that game, you could really feel the frustration of the Bills. They're getting tired of losing at the last second, which they seem to have turned into a specialty in big games. So I like the Dolphins here. I think that their team is very good. They can get after the quarterback, and the combination of Hill and Waddle, until somebody solves that, I see them riding Tua's arm and their legs to quite a few victories.
Miami's had a tough schedule, New England, Baltimore, and Buffalo, and they've certainly answered the bell to go 3-0. Although I think they beat a somewhat depleted Buffalo team. Buffalo ran their JV defense out there. They were missing 3 defensive secondary players. Hyde is out for the season, and both cornerbacks were injured. And also, very importantly, both defensive tackles were injured. Mm-hmm. Jordan Phillips didn't play, and the other guy, familiar name, what is his name?
Ed Oliver.
Oliver didn't play as well. And they're 2 good defensive tackles. So Miami's win is a win. And as you said, Buffalo almost outgained them 3-1 and outpossessed them actually about 2.5-1 and 2.5-1. Buffalo just couldn't get in the end zone.
Yeah.
And kind of that's what happened to them. When I'm talking about parity, this week I really made a concerted effort to look at injuries more and also the kicking games more. And Miami's got strong kicking and punting, but their defense only has 2.5 sacks. And I think if you're going to trouble Joe Burrows, you got to get in there and pressure him on at least a third of the passes to make him mess up. Otherwise, he'll pick you apart. And I don't think Miami has the horses to do that. Also concerned about Miami's run game. Cincinnati's run game is not setting the world on fire. Mixon's not been having a good year yet. But Miami's only averaging 3.3 yards per carry with Mostert leading the way. It's also a short week for the Dolphins, and they're sharing their practice facility with the Buccaneers. That could be a bit of a, diversion. So you're picking Miami?
Yes.
I got you down for Miami. I am picking Cincinnati. All right, we go to London for the next game, and that is the Minnesota Vikings at the New Orleans Saints. Vikings are 2-1. Saints are 1-2. The Saints are going to wear black helmets. And
yeah, they should, because they should be mourning their season at this point.
I tried to make one, but I have sticker paper. I ordered clear sticker paper, but that didn't work very good. I need white sticker paper to make the helmets.
Can the Saints play offense? Are we sure that they know how to score touchdowns? Does Jameis Winston still have the ability to push the ball down the field? I don't think so. The corpse of Alvin Kamara does not look like he should be out there. They're really just dead on offense. Defense is okay, but man, the Vikings have a ton of weapons. I expect them to be able to move the ball. They did so without really Justin Jefferson having much of a game last week. Thielen and Cook really had fairly good games, not up to probably their standards, but enough to get the Vikes that win. I like the Vikings in London. I really do think, there's really no home field advantage in these London games, and the Vikings have a better team.
Going to get you down for Minnesota. Both teams are approaching this London game differently. The Saints went there Monday. They're going to practice there all week. Vikings, on the other hand, are going to strive to keep their hours the same as much as possible, and they're not going to show up till Friday. So I actually like the Vikings approach better than the Saints.
Yeah, it's been more successful in the past.
Yeah, and just as an athletic director in the past, some things I've seen about those approaches, I think the Vikings have a better idea. Kirk Cousins has been tough under lights. He's 2-11 under lights. This doesn't count as being under lights. I think it's about 3 o'clock their time, maybe 8:30 or 9:30 Central Time, our time. So I think Cousins will be okay. I don't know why he can't win tonight. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to hear maybe he's a little bit colorblind. I don't know.
Yeah. No night vision. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be something like that. The Vikings are 9th on defense in the NFL. I do think defense travels. So their offensive line's allowed only 4 sacks. And the defensive line, led by Zadarius Smith, number 55, they're averaging a couple sacks per game. So I'm picking the Vikings. Jameis Winston had that one spectacular quarter, but the rest of them have not been great. He's at 63%, and he's upside down on his touchdown interception ratio, 4-5. They're running the ball well, actually 5.5 yards a carry, but they've been passing the ball 2/3 of the time. Yeah. So maybe if they strive for a little bit more balance, they'll have a little more offensive success. All right, I think the Vikings are going to beat the New Orleans Saints in London. Next game is the Cleveland Browns at the Atlanta Falcons.
Tough game to pick. I kind of like this Falcons team. This Drake London, he's playing well. Pitts flashed a couple times last week, but not with consistency. Patterson is one of the better runners in the league this year, in my opinion. And their defense is pretty scrappy. The Cleveland team is consistently putting up a lot of points. We talk about their quarterback situation, but it doesn't seem to be that much of an issue right now. Nick Chubb is far and away the best producing week by week running back in the NFL that I've seen. And the Cleveland defense can play and contain just about anybody, or at least keep it close enough that their offense is in it. This one was a toss-up for me. I went with the Browns just because I think they have a little bit better track record so far.
I'm also going with the Browns, but first of all, let me say hi to DJ John 4444. He's picking the Vikings. DJ, if you don't mind, we did the Miami-Cincinnati game first. Let me know who you like in that game. The Cleveland Browns and Jacoby Brissett have played better than I thought they'd play. I watched that game last week, and Brissett was really on target, and he ran the ball effectively when he needed to. He's at 66% with 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. I noticed that Myles Garrett was a little subdued, and he has a neck injury. He didn't practice a lot last week, but he did get a sack. He's got 3 on the seasons. So he's still out there. The offensive line is still Cleveland's offensive line, led by Batolio. They're very strong, both in pass blocking and in run blocking. They're only giving up 1 sack per game, and they'll get your quarterback a chance to perform. Defense has allowed 2 long passes over 65 yards. That's a concern, the secondary. But
are you that worried about Marcus Mariota throwing deep?
Probably not. And they don't exactly have anybody to stretch the field. So they got to run the ball, and they have been running the ball. Cordell Patterson has been having a really good season. He got 302 yards, 6.2 yards per carry. So Patterson is really showing his stuff. Mariota is still so 63%, 3 TDs, 3 interceptions. But the offense has moved the ball. They're 9th in the NFL. Defense is still not very good. I look for Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb to dominate this game, and I think I'm going to pick Cleveland. Next game is the Washington Commanders. I do have the correct helmet for them. And the surprising, deckless Dallas Cowboys.
So are we going to start to talk about Cooper Rush in the same light as Tony Romo here pretty soon? Is that happening from the Dallas fans? I hope not. But Rush has played well. Rush has been a solid starter. He's not asked to do too much. CeeDee Lamb came to life in the Giants game at the right time for them. Made a couple really big plays. That one-handed grab in the end zone was spectacular. But I thought the release he got on a play action pass where he just found space and went for about 27 yards, that showed some instincts that he'd been previously lacking. The Commanders, Terry McLaurin had a great week last week. He's consistently just a tough receiver. But Dallas's defensive line is tough. That defensive line gets after the quarterback. I expect them to give Carson Wentz a lot of trouble. The Commanders' offensive line is not as good as it has been in past years, and Dallas should be able to bring a lot of pressure and hopefully put up some points with a little bit of a rejuvenated run game and the star wideout. So
Dallas leads the league in sacks. So it's come from a variety of directions too, not just Micah Parsons. Parsons was fighting illness last week, and he didn't have his normal game. But unfortunately for the Commanders, he'll probably be well next week.
Yeah. Good luck.
Carson Wentz for Washington has been better than I thought he would be. He is at 63%, 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But the offensive line has allowed 15 sacks, and they haven't played Dallas yet. They might allow 15 sacks Sunday.
To Dallas, yeah.
Run game has been very disappointing for the Commanders too. Antonio Gibson is getting about 38 yards, 35 yards a game, and that is not going to cut it. Dorrance Armstrong from KU showed up again. He blocked a field goal. I thought I was going to try to mention him every week, and he's certainly cooperating.
Yeah, he heard that you wanted to sprinkle him in there.
I guess so. CeeDee Lamb made a huge drop. I don't know if that would have been a touchdown, but it would have been a big game. But after that, he played okay. And he does have to step forward and help this Cowboy offense. They're like 30th in the NFL. Defense is good, but the offense is still lacking. But Cooper
Rush.
Cooper Rush has not been a disappointment. He's, I would say his games have been better than Dak's first game was.
Oh, definitely.
Dak led the number one offense in the NFL last year, but Cooper Rush really hasn't been a drop-off. We both have the Cowboys. Next game is the Seattle Seahawks at the Detroit Lions.
Well, I'll keep this one simple. I like Detroit in this one. They're home. They're one of my favorite teams to watch top to bottom. Between Hawkinson, you've got the kind of really great running back tandem there, with Williams getting a big score by the goal line for them last week. Jared Goff looks good. He's solid. Amon-Ra St. Brown is up there with any receiver in receiving yards this season. And the defense has, made the best of, maybe not the best talent-wise defense, but they're very disciplined. Aiden Hutchinson is a star in the making. And Seattle is kind of talent bereft on defense. They really don't have anybody, and they keep getting torched. Geno Smith has fallen back down to earth after a great showing against Russell Wilson. And he just doesn't seem to be clicking with the two terrific receivers that Seattle has. So, long story short, I got the Lions.
The Lions. All right, let me get that down. Seattle is offensively, they're 28th in the league and 20th on defense. So it's not really going well on either side of the ball. And 3 of their secondary members are unhealthy. A couple of them might play, but they're not 100%. Geno Smith has been pretty good. He's 77%, 4 TDs, 2 interceptions. But they're going to have to come up with some better ideas in their red zone offense. They're only 20% there. So defensive run game, DeAndre Smith should have a big week. Seattle's given up almost 5 yards per carry. I like this Detroit Lions team. I like their coach. We have for 2 years. And I think they're turning a corner. I think they're pretty even with Chicago. They're not on Green Bay's level.
No.
And they might not be far behind Minnesota. I am worried about DeAndre Swift. He is questionable. He's got a shoulder problem, and it's week to week. But offensively, the Detroit Lions, as you said, they're ranked number 2 in the NFL. They have really been lighting it up. Their offense is way ahead of Seattle's. I can't pick Seattle in this game. Goff has 7 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Mm-hmm. They're rushing for 5.9 yards per carry as a team. Their kicker so-so. Yeah. Defense is last in the NFL. But Hutchinson's going to be – he's already a star. He's got 3 sacks, I'd say. if he's getting a sack every game, and he's good on run defense. So yeah, I'd say he's already achieving that star status. It could be potentially a high-scoring game, but I think Detroit comes out on top. Next game, Apple-Lori's got Seattle, and DJ is picking the Detroit Lions. Okay, the next game is the Tennessee Titans against the victorious Indianapolis Colts.
Jeez. All right, this game. This is one of those, if you ever had money on a game, this would not be the game to have money on. This is one of those AFC South. You don't know if it's going to be a rock fight or, an aerial battle. I have no idea what this game is going to be. I do know that these two teams are about as similar to each other as you could ask for in the NFL. They have good linebackers. Both teams have great running backs that have so far kind of disappointed. Derrick Henry had a pretty good game last week. Big reason why they won. But he had looked slow before last week, so we'll see if he can keep that up. Can't really trust Tannehill or Ryan unless the other team is making mistakes, which the Chiefs were great at last week. It's a pick'em game to me. I'll take the Colts because they're home, and not feel good about it for the rest of the week.
Indiana. Okay, I also took the Colts. I'm not necessarily on Tennessee's bandwagon. I know they were great last year, but they're 1-2. Indianapolis is 1-1-1. Tennessee's offense is 22 and their defense is 29. That's pretty pathetic. And their offensive tackle, Taylor Lewan, is out. He's going to be out for a while. The one thing they got going for them is red zone offense. They're 85% on that. Tannehill is so-so, and I don't know how long they're going to make Malik Willis sit. But I think Willis is probably better than Tannehill. He can certainly run.
Bad in relief when he came in that first week.
Yeah, he did.
See that?
He probably needs more time. Henry is still under 4 yards per carry. He's at 3.9. Rashad Weaver, outside linebacker, has got 3 sacks on their defense. But the secondary generally is not good. They've allowed 8 touchdown passes. Not real impressed with the Colts either. They were shut out by the Jaguars. Could have been shut out by us if we didn't fumble the ball on the 3-yard line and extend the game-winning drive with a penalty.
And missed multiple field goals.
That's really what killed us. They came down to kicking, and when they signed Amendola from the Jets, I thought this is not going to turn out well. I looked at his record, 40-plus yards. It was atrocious. And he missed a field goal. He missed an extra point. And he scared Andy Reid out of 42-yard field goal, so they did that fake field goal, which that's 7 points right there. That we cut him. So that probably means that Harrison Buttkicker is going to be back.
He better be. Man, we need him.
Yeah, we need him. The Colts are not getting much pressure on the quarterback. They've got only 4 sacks. Ryan's upside down, 3 touchdowns on 4 interceptions at 64%. He's not looking particularly good. So I'm counting on some ifs here, but I'm with you. I think the Colts at home will take the Titans. The Titans don't look like they've got really any reliable receivers.
No, they don't.
Well, they need to keep A.J. Brown big time.
It's a mistake.
Okay, DJ says we've talked him into taking the Colts, and the Colts can't win 2 in a row. Apple-Lori has got Indiana, so we're all on Indiana. All right, next game, we've got the Chicago Bears at the New York Giants.
Well, I do know this game will be a rock fight. These two teams are
I thought the Cowboys and Giants were going to break out into a rock fight at the end of the game. I don't know what's going on there, but it was not friendly.
no, those two teams do not like each other. Yeah, this Giants had a tough loss. I think if they had held together a little better defensively there at the end of that game, they would have beaten the Cowboys even with just an utter lack of offense at all. Daniel Jones he's not making mistakes, but he's also not making plays, except with his legs. He's very willing to run the ball. But as far as trying to fit anything into a tight window in the passing game, he is just skittish as anything I've ever seen. Justin Fields, he's a second-year quarterback. The Bears are doing fairly well for what they are. I think that the Giants have a little bit more. I love what Barkley's done this year. He's really started to kind of make a comeback from all those injuries and look a little bit more like the player we expected. Had a great run in the Cowboys game. They need a couple more plays like that from him in order to win this game, though. So give me the Giants.
Dan takes the Giants. Apple Brian takes the Bears. The Bears. Shepard's out for the year, and I don't think Toning's come back yet, so they're still hurting on pass receiving. Barkley's playing well. There's no doubt about it. He may threaten to lead the league in rushing because he's getting a lot of chances, and he's coming through. Evan Neal, the rookie offensive tackle that we were really drooling over when the Giants drafted him, he got schooled by DeMarcus Lawrence in their game with the Dallas Cowboys. I think he gave up 3 sacks to Lawrence. It was a tough night, kind of night that might want to make you think of another profession.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to quit quite yet, but he's got to be questioning things. This could be a close game. One thing that favors your pick is the field goal kicking. Cairo Santos is pretty good at those game-winning field goals. He's knocked down a bunch of those in his career, and he has been doing really well. Fields has not been doing great for Chicago. He's at 51% and 2-4 on touchdowns and interceptions. But if he's ever going to come out of that and make progress, it should be this game, because I didn't see a lot of. I think the Giants allow way too much passing to Dallas, and Cooper Rush. Those receivers were generally wide open. It wasn't like they were contested catches. So I think Chicago should be able to achieve the same. And if Justin Fields hits his passes, I think Chicago's in good stead there. Still having too many penalties. They're having 9 penalties a game, the Giants. And their offensive line's kind of weak. So, not that the Bears line's strong.
Oh, no. These teams are very similar.
Yeah, they're similar. And it could go either way, but I'm on the Bears. They're kind of having a magical season. It's not like they've blown these teams out. They won in a monsoon over San Francisco. And rain can be a great equalizer. All right, so Lori's got the Bears, and DJ is going with you, Dan. He likes the New York Giants.
There you go, DJ.
All right, next game is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Jacksonville's a very good team. They look great. Lawrence looks good. Etienne catching the ball like you expected last year before he got hurt. Hurts has been phenomenal for the Eagles as well. That defense is good over there in Philly. A lot of tough matchups this week. This is our third in a row where the teams are pretty close talent-wise.
I think this is the week.
Yeah, you might. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Um, you know, I I went back and forth on this one. I wanted to take Jacksonville pretty bad in this game, be honest with you, but I love the Eagles balance. I love that defense. And I think that AJ Brown is a game stealer in a game like this. He can tilt the field Jalen Hurts' way better than any receiver that I see on Jacksonville's roster. I expect him to continue to put up big days and to be a big reason that in their defense for why they win this game.
Everybody's taking the Eagles. I got Apoloria in Philadelphia. DJ's got Philadelphia. Let me talk about Philadelphia first. Their offense is fifth. Their defense is seventh. That's good enough to get them into a top 5 NFL team. I'm not sure they played the competition that Jacksonville has played yet. Defensive line has given up 5.5 yards per rush and not been stopping running games. Secondary has been good. But they can rush the passer. Graham and Fletcher Cox each have 3 sacks apiece. All right, Jalen Hurts is having a MVP kind of a year. Is he not? 67%.
Yeah. If Lamar Jackson wasn't doing what he's doing, then yeah, Hurts would be right up there.
He's got his passing and running. He's got 1,083 yards, which is more than 22 other NFL offenses by himself.
Yeah,
that feels like MVP numbers to me.
Oh yeah.
Field goal kicking's pretty good. Jake Elliott's only missed one 40-plus field goal. Jackson Riley for Jacksonville's 3 for 3, 40 on. The Eagles' offensive line is outstanding. They're going to have their hands full with Jacksonville's defensive line.
Yeah.
But Lane Johnson, the tackle, you want to guess when the last time was that he gave up a sack?
2019.
It was week 11, 2020.
Wow.
So he's been a year and a half without giving up one sack.
Jeez.
One thing that worries me about the Eagles, though, they have been noticeably better in the first half and noticeably worse in the second half. Last week, also the first week. That's kind of glaring to me. Some of their players are a little bit older on the line. Mm-hmm. And that could be a problem in this game. Jacksonville is a young team. Trevor Lawrence is on fire. He's got 3 touchdowns. He's 69%. He had 3 touchdowns last week. 69%, 6 on the season, and 1 interception. Offense is rated number 7. Defense is rated number 4. And they've outscored their last 2 opponents 62-10.
Yeah.
They're on a roll.
Yeah.
And they've got an adult for a coach. Doug Peterson is a way better coach than they had last year, and he has obviously fixed things in Jacksonville, and he's getting the most out of his quarterback, and he's very good at that. Doug Peterson's very familiar with the Eagles team, whereas Nick Sirianni is not so familiar with Jacksonville's team. Now, Peterson doesn't know their new receivers, but he does know their lines and most of their players. He knows Jalen Hurts. So I thought about it long and hard, and I'm going with the Jacksonville Bears. That's my upset pick of the week.
It's a good one.
Next game is the New York Jets at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are not going forth with Pickett in their long week. They're staying with Trubisky.
Yeah, I read that today. Maybe they're probably trying to preserve Pickett. As we've talked about in past weeks, we were looking for them to maybe make the change this week before their 3-game gauntlet, which I wouldn't want to throw any rookie QB into. They are terrible on offense. They can't move the ball. They can't consistently rely on really anyone. They're not blocking well. Their defense is, when they're missing TJ Watt, they don't have a lot of teeth. They're pretty easy to predict. as far as what they're doing up front. Um, you know, safeties are great. DBs are not as good. Jets put up points. They're able to move the ball. They've figured out their offense. I don't think that the Steelers can slow them down enough when Trubisky and that offense can only put up 13 points a game. Really, you only have to get to 14 and you probably beat the Steelers, in my opinion, unless there's a pick six or something along that line like there was in the first week. Jets are young, couple holes on defense, but they're getting better. They love playing for Robert Saleh. He is a motivator. And I expect the Jets to come in and take care of the Steelers in an upset.
New York Jets. All right. Pittsburgh was a playoff team last year, and I think their quarterback situation has actually improved over the statue they had last year. I know a lot of people aren't thrilled with Trubisky, but he's not horrible.
He's not good.
He's not great. And it's the team itself is kind of mediocre. They're middle of the pack in offense, slightly below. They're middle of the pack in defense, slightly below. They do have two exceptional defensive players in Micah Fitzpatrick. And Alex Highsmith, linebacker, has got 4.5 sacks already. So he's kind of making up for the loss of TJ Watt. Pittsburgh blitzes a lot. And this is the week that Zach Wilson's coming back from New York. Not sure he's going to be ready for all these blitzes. Or, for that matter, the Jets' offensive line. So I'm kind of leaning toward Pittsburgh. Their offensive line's allowed 9 sacks. I think they're going to allow probably 5 or 6 in this game. It's going to be rough that way. And the secondary doesn't cover people. They've allowed 7 passing touchdowns. So I think Trubisky is going to have probably a little bit better than average day. I think he's gearing up for his best day. It'll be against the Jets. He's had a little more time to prepare, and I'm good with picking Pittsburgh over the Jets. Appleboy's got the Jets. You talked her into it, Dan.
There we go. Hey,
Next.
DJ's on my side too. I like it.
DJ's on your side too. You all have the Jets, and I'm going to be sorry when the Jets win. All right, Buffalo at the Ravens.
This might be another. I mean, we get 2 games of the week this week. This is a good game here. Bills are banged up. But they still have Josh Allen, and he makes up for a lot of mistakes. Stephon Diggs playing phenomenal. He made a lot of clutch plays. They just couldn't get the win last week against a Dolphins team that got a little lucky. The Ravens are looking like they're going to be up there with everybody else in the AFC. The Bills, the Chiefs, whoever else you want to put in there right now. Ravens are there. They have a pretty explosive offense. They're able to make up for their lack of receivers with some great tight end play. Mark Andrews is far and away the most productive tight end in the NFL today. And that's nothing against Travis Kelce. He's just had a phenomenal year. Bills defense, as you mentioned, I looked at their injury report. It is like this long. There's every position group just about on there. Everybody's questionable or not expected to come back until next week. This one's tough, but my gut says the Ravens.
Oh boy, you're making me think. I'm picking the Bills. Let's see. Let's get Baltimore down. Lamar Jackson's certainly on a mission. Didn't get his contract, but boy, he's showing the Ravens that they're going to need to pony up next year, big time. Did you see that Ken Dorsey meltdown in the press box of Buffalo?
That was ugly. That was Brady-esque. He
that was epic.
Yeah, that was something. He was a little upset.
They've got the best red zone offense, Baltimore. They're over 8%.
Dobbins is back this week.
And J.K. Dobbins is back. So we'll see what kind of a running game they get going. They're still going to have to deal with, is Gabriel Davis playing in Dawson Knox?
Yes.
I know they're on the list. Probably they are playing. Okay.
Well, they're questionable today, but that's the tough thing about picking on Tuesday is we might know something new on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, I got
Davis will play.
Yeah, I got some opinions that Justin has not wanted to pick by Tuesdays. He's busy.
I forgot about that.
But that's a severe advantage.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if we should put the screws to Justin and say we got to have him by Tuesday if you want to win the channel.
There you go.
We have to think about that. Ravens, Jackson's at 63%. Allen is still a more accurate passer. He's at 71%.
Mm-hmm.
But Lamar's thrown 10 touchdown passes to 2 interceptions, and he's outdone Allen in that. He's at 9-2. So we're going to have 2 terrific quarterbacks go after each other. And you're right, Buffalo might not have enough healthy bodies to slow Jackson down. If Buffalo had everybody, I would for sure be picking Buffalo.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's
no
just
question.
they
No
have
question.
the longest injury list in the league right now.
You know, I didn't like seeing Josh Allen cry last week. He might be crying again this week. I'm going to change my pick. It's official. You talked me into it. I'm going Baltimore.
Oh, geez. My Catholic guild is going out of control right now.
Justin Houston's been kind of revived, and they still got Calais Campbell on defense. And Buffalo has got no freaking running game. Last year they had a little bit of a running game with Singletary, but they've got nothing going this year. It has had to be all Josh Allen all year long.
Yeah.
And that's got to be worrying. Either he's going to get injured or he's going to just poop out mentally,
right.
physically.
Yeah.
So that new coordinator is going to have to get over his fits and figure out some ways to run the ball and take some pressure off his quarterback. Yeah, I'm feeling better about Baltimore. I'm officially on Baltimore.
All right.
Go Ravens, go.
Go Ravens. Oof.
Next game is the San Diego, or I keep saying San Diego. I hate that they moved to Los Angeles.
I do it with Vegas. I say Oakland every time. Like I go in and I'm like, Vegas, Vegas, Vegas. And then my mouth says Oakland. And I feel like a dummy every time. But I'm going to do it later on in the show, too.
I probably will, too. We got Los Angeles Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders, Reliant Stadium.
Is that the Texans helmet?
Oh. Whoa. Los Angeles Chargers not at the Raiders. Sorry. The Raiders are playing Denver. That's the AFC West. It's the Texans. Yeah, it should be the Texans.
There we go. I was worried for a second there. Well, Chargers, they need Justin Herbert to be a little healthier than he was last week. I don't understand why he played. I think that's
yeah, should have been in there. But all in all, he threw 297 yards last week.
Oh, he's incredible. He's a unicorn athlete. He's got the arm to where he doesn't even need a body. Somehow he just wills the ball into any window. His body can be going the other way. It's incredible. But if I'm thinking about my future, I would
Yeah,
just look back at Robert Griffin III and what Washington did to him.
bingo. If you had a better coach, I do not think Heber would be playing. They
I
would be
don't
going with Chase Daniel.
Yeah, it's a huge risk in a game that they didn't need. It tells me that they're playing for the regular season and not for the playoffs, is what that tells me. If they did that to Allen or Mahomes, those fans would go nuts if they saw him out there.
Well, they'd mob the field and
Yeah,
carry
they'd
him.
pull him off.
And now that you mention it, looking at it, we'll talk about this later, but looking at Denver and the Raiders and what Staley's doing to his quarterback, Hebert, I think the Chiefs, going into the season, I thought the Chiefs were going to have a big problem in the West and everybody was going to beat each other and it was going to hurt their record. But I'm kind of saying it looks like 9-0 in the division for the Chiefs. And it's going to be the rest of their games that they're going to have to fight it out over it if they want to play in another championship game. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I do. I don't know what to do with this game, really. I think the Chargers should win it. The Texans are fine. They're kind of playing for a draft pick, but they play hard. Not a lot of weapons. I would really love to see Herbert rest a week, but I doubt they'll let him do it. And those injuries kind of hold on for weeks at a time, but they do get better incrementally. He didn't appear to have re-injured them from what I saw last week. I'll take the Chargers. They've lost a lot of they have a pretty good injury list as well. I was looking at, but I think they're getting Keenan Allen back, and that'll really help.
So it's Lovie Smith against Staley. Not a fan of either coach.
Yeah, coaching nightmares.
Yeah,
Can Mike McCarthy flip the coin for them?
that would really muck it up, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Chargers do have injuries on defense. Bosa went out in the middle of the first quarter. I don't think he's going to be back. And J.C. Jackson in the defensive backfield went out. And it's early, but I don't think he's going to be back either. So that's a problem. Chargers are 29th out of 32 teams on defense. And they've got no run game. 2.6 average. That's not going to cut it. Austin Eckler, he's like a physical specimen. Yeah. I thought he was coming into his prime and would do even better this year. He had a great year last year, but I thought he'd even do better this year. But so far, Staley's not been focusing on the run game, and he needs to, especially now. My upset pick is Houston.
Oof. It's a good
I'm
pick.
looking for, I think offense has allowed 7 sacks. That's less than 2 a game.
Yeah. Mills is competent.
Mills is competent. Davian Pierce has 182 yards rushing, 4.0 average. That's more than competent. They've got good kicking. Fairbairn is 4 for 4 from beyond 40 yards. And defensive end Jared Hughes has 4 sacks. So they got some pieces. We're starting to learn some names on defense. And I think that they're going to Chargers left tackles out too, Slater.
Yeah.
That's another significant injury. So Hughes might get in there and punish those ribs some more. Next game is the Arizona Cardinals and Carolina Panthers.
This is the week of similar teams. Man, Kyler Murray is a dynamic player, but that team is so lost out there. Carolina put together a good game. I really didn't think they would be as good as they have been the past couple weeks. They look okay. And the Cardinals played no defense, and their offense does some weird stuff. This is a kind of a pick'em game for me. I wasn't really sure which way to go with this. Carolina could win by 30 and Arizona could win by 30 and Carolina could win by a touchdown. It's kind of that kind of a game to me. I guess if I had to pick, I'd take Carolina.
This is a pick show. You have to.
I have to. Yes, if I had to. I would never put money on this game.
All right, I've also got Carolina. Arizona is still 31st on defense, and they need to have more of a running game than just Kyler Murray. So I think we need to see more of Eno Benjamin, more of Darrell Williams. James Conner has been trying to do it, but I think he's nursing a shoulder injury, so he's not been playing well. The defense has only 2 sacks. J.J. Watt's got them both, and you don't know if J.J. Watt's going to make it through a full season. So I'm looking for Carolina to do it. McCaffrey's got 243 yards, 4.9 average. That ain't bad. Brian Burns, their main pass rusher, who's got 2 sacks, was limited in practice, but I think he's going to play. The quarterback's got to pick it up. 51% is not good. 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's been under pressure. The offense has allowed 9 sacks. But without Bosa, they might not be sacking quarterback. So I'm staying with Carolina. Next game is at Lambeau Field. The New England Patriots at the Green Bay Packers. New England's 1-2. Green Bay is 2-1. They look like they're on the right road.
Yes, the Packers look like they've done their traditional week 1 bye week for the NFL season, where they just give up a terrible loss, and then they start clicking. The communication with Rodgers gets better every week. Aaron Jones is playing out of his mind a good amount of the time. Mac Jones, back injury, he's going to be out a few weeks. So I'm not really sure what the Pats are going to do on offense. It looks like a lot of Ramondre Sessions, Damian Harris.
Brian Hoyer.
Well, yeah, I know what. Yeah. Brian Hoyer, who the last time we saw in an NFL game, if I'm not mistaken, threw 4 interceptions and was benched for the 3rd string guy. Brian Hoyer, fine fellow. I hear he's a very nice gentleman, but I wouldn't want him as my starting quarterback in an NFL game.
He's going to have Belichick, Joe Judge, and Matt Patricia breathing down his neck.
Just yelling in his headset all game long. It'll be great. He won't know which end is up. So, yeah, it's an easy one. The Packers D is phenomenal.
Watch to see if Hoyer's helmet's vibrating during the game.
Just buzzing. You can see it. It's like there's a hive of bees on his head. Probably, and Hoyer's there because he knew Josh McDaniels' offense in and out, because he'd been there so long, and now he doesn't have that advantage. They're doing different things, and they might not be to his strengths, but more tailored to Mac Jones's. So I think it's an easy win for the Pack at home.
Yeah, New England's offense is counting on a run game, and they're only 25th on offense and 22 on defense. It's kind of been miserable on both sides of the ball. They're running at 4.3 yards, but that's given up by the fact they allow 4.8 yards a rush. Yeah. So it's not going well at New England. Green Bay, on the other hand, they're sailing. They're finding more receivers now. Romeo Doubs from Nevada, a rookie, had a big day, and he might end up being the go-to guy. And then the running game is just overwhelming. Aaron Jones is 6.8 yards per rush with 217 yards. And A.J. Dillon had a better week last week than his first 2 weeks. So offensive line's getting healthy. I think they'll have Jenkins, and Bakhtiari was back last week. So I don't see New England has a chance.
No.
Green Bay. And let's see, Lori's got Green Bay. All right, next game is the Denver Broncos at the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, well, the Broncos needed that really bizarre safety in order to win their game. Randy Gregory played great. They've got some pieces on defense, as we knew, in Denver. They really played tough on that side of the ball. Flew around out there, but they put up 11 points. They signed Russell Wilson to a $245 million extension for this. They don't run the ball that well. They're still trying to lean on Melvin Gordon III. I just don't understand that. Javonte Williams is a great back. Let him make some mistakes. If he fumbles the ball every now and then, I mean, you lose such a dynamic force in the backfield by having them split time. He needs to be a feature back. Cortland Sutton's great, but he's not getting a chance to flash more than 2 or 3 times a game. Jerry Jeudy, same thing. The ball's just not getting out to the weapons. Russ had shown signs of decline in Seattle. We all kind of thought, maybe there was a second act for him, and maybe there isn't. We'll see. He may need some time to gel with this team, but I don't think they're going to do enough to beat this Raiders team. They should have a pretty easy time against a Broncos team that is reeling from coaching mistakes and poor quarterback play.
Yeah, I've always thought going into the year that the Broncos quarterback Russell Williams is kind of a poor man's Kyler Murray, and it's kind of working out that way. He's not running as well as Murray, and he's not been accurate with his passes, and his leadership skills are kind of a little weird.
Suspect, yeah. Well, Kyler's are too.
Kyler's are too, but at least Kyler's not on the bench telling all his teammates to yell, run, pass. Like Russell Wilson is. Denver's offense is 31st in the league. That's about as low as you can go. And with those running backs, and they got a decent offensive line, decent receivers, so they have totally underachieved. But on the other hand, they got a defense.
They do. They got a great defense.
Got a good secondary, great linebackers. Chubb has got 3 sacks. Gregory's got 2 sacks. Going into the season, I thought the Raiders were the most overrated team in football. I know they've got tremendous stars all over the skill positions. And they got a new one last week in this guy Hollins, number 10. He was amazing last week.
Yeah, he was.
In fact, actually, he leads the Raiders in reception yards, 240 yards. He's a leading receiver over Devontae Adams, who's not been bad. I mean,
no.
So they got receivers. But when it comes to offensive line play and defensive line play, the lower man wins. And that memo hasn't got to the Vegas Raiders. You can watch any given play when Vegas is on defense, and their defensive front line is getting stood up and neutralized. They only have 2 sacks. Crosby can sack the quarterback. He's got 2. Nobody else can. They're losing every battle. And on the offensive line, Carr is running for his life. Carr can beat you. He's beat the Chiefs, but not when he's concerned for his health. And again, the lower man wins, and it's never the offensive line. So I kind of think with Denver's awful coach and the awful start that he's off to, the awful calls, and the awful clock management, all that's going to be overcome by their offensive and defensive line. They're going to maul the Raiders. And I think they're going to beat the Raiders. It won't be pretty. It will be ugly. But you watch the line play, and some of those Raiders just get propelled into space. They stand up, and they get blown out of the play.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Kansas City and Tampa Bay, which might get moved. We'll see how the hurricane goes.
Oh, yeah.
Tampa's going to practice in Miami. They're now saying the hurricane is going to hit south of Tampa, but it hasn't hit yet. If they can't play Monday or Sunday night, they'll play Monday night. If they can't play Monday night, guess where they're going to play?
Ooh, in the Superdome? Where are they going to play?
I think it's going to be in Kansas City on Tuesday night. They haven't said anything. That's the rumor I'm hearing.
Okay. Well, I hear the Saints are out of town. We could go there, but I'd rather play in Kansas City. It'd be a great home game.
Yes, we played down there the last 2 or 3 times. They owe us a trip up here.
I think they do. They really do. Tampa's got a great defense. They fly around. They're really good against the run. They've got linebackers that any team would want. And the Chiefs are down Willie Gay, which kind of showed against the Colts. There was some questionable plays by his replacement Harris. Evans will be back for Tampa, so that should count for something as long as he's not taking cheap shots at people in the middle of the game. Brady seems very frustrated. The offense is not on the same page. They're not getting the push that they got because of plays that they were able to run with Gronkowski having the consistent trusted receivers with Godwin, Brown, and Evans out there all the time so that guys like Scotty Mills could produce. I think it's really causing a lot of trouble. They're turning easy touchdowns that they used to get into field goals. And to watch them get beat 14-12 was interesting for sure. The Chiefs, I expect them to play a lot better this week. I think that Mahomes will be on a mission. I think that defense will want to make it a statement against Tampa Bay. And I really do like what the Chiefs are doing on defense. They're not giving up big plays. They're kind of hanging tight. They're sending some creative blitzes. I believe Snead's gotten to the passer twice, and I really do like them in this game.
So you got Kansas City?
Yes.
Lori's got Kansas City. It's going to be a low-scoring game, I think, because they got the number 1 defense in the NFL. What a linebacker crew they've got with Shaq Barrett and Devin White. Although Kansas City's linebackers are playing well. Darius Harris replaced Willie Guy, and he had a good game. He played really well. And number 32 is just motoring right along. He got 2 sacks last week. So Bolton's playing well.
Made a stop on 4th down, too.
The kicking game, I think if Harrison Butker is back, he should match Ryan Suckup. Suckup used to kick for the Chiefs, and we released him because he missed a lot of field goals. Long-time NFL kicker. But he's having a great year. He's 6 for 6 beyond the 40-yard line. So he's been pretty automatic for Tampa. And it's a good thing because they're not scoring touchdowns. They've got 3 touchdowns, but they've only given up 3 touchdowns. They've scored 4. So touchdowns have been very hard to come by. Let's talk about last week's game. Justin and I watched that game, and the Chiefs were not sharp. And, Holmes missed a potential touchdown pass to MVS in the first quarter, overthrew the ball. Kelsey dropped a pass in the end zone. That's a touchdown.
He never drops that. Jeez.
But Justin is looking at the penalties again. There was a PI against Kelsey in the end zone that was not called, where the defensive back was turned back to the ball and pushing Kelsey before the ball got there. Wasn't called. And then on an important drive late in the game, the Chiefs were converted a third down, but they had a penalty.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was holding. Mm-hmm. But the broadcaster said there were two flags on the.
And they picked up the one on the side.
And
yeah.
They picked up the face mask flag, and they showed the face mask penalty. That was a penalty.
Yeah.
That's a game-changing penalty.
That was offsetting. Yeah.
And now you look at the third penalty against Chris Jones, unsportsmanlike conduct. Every week, Tampa Bay's Brady is in somebody's face talking trash. And I have never seen a flag thrown on Brady, unsportsmanlike conduct.
Nope, and you never will.
So Justin thinks that the NFL has it in for the Chiefs. The NFL does not want to see the Chiefs in a fourth championship game and another Super Bowl. And he thinks the crew was cheating. That's what he thinks. I have a hard time arguing. I know Andy Reid wrote a letter to the NFL offices, but that never goes anywhere, and you can't talk about these things. I would be curious to see what Travis Kelce says on his show on Wednesday with his brother Jason, or maybe what Jason says about it. I'll bet they don't mind if they get fined $10,000.
Yeah, they got all the money.
They got all the money. They may say something, and I think they should, because I think that's the main thing that's wrong with the NFL today and Major League Baseball. Neither organization holds their refereeing and umpires accountable. Now, I've said many times in the past that the umpiring in baseball is way ahead of the refereeing and their full-time umpires. They're way better than the NFL's officials. But think about it. How many college games did you watch where you walked away saying, oh, my God, that crew ruined the game?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen
4 or 5 times a week in the NFL.
It happens all over the NFL. You see certain crews and you say, "Oh my gosh,
yeah,
this is going to be bad." I like I think it's John Massey's crew, the guy with the authoritative voice that makes you feel bad if you do a penalty. Like his crew, is it Gene Tooney, the muscle-bound referee? I like his crew. I like his son's crew. I think they can be counted on to be fair and good. But if this keeps happening to the Chiefs, and we were wondering about it last year, it's got to change. You got to hold these referees. When I was an athletic director, and I got some bad referees, and occasionally I did, you just didn't hire them back again, and they knew that. And when you find good referees, like in baseball, you hire them as many times as you can. And but there's not that kind of accountability. Angel Martinez, the umpire, sued the MLB so he could call in the World Series, and he won his case. But you watch him umpire, and whether he's behind the plate or on the bases, he'll find some way to screw the game up many times. He's by far the worst. So there's just no accountability on these officials.
And it would be easy to do. You can put out grades every week for each crew, each individual ref, and at the end of the year, if they're not good enough, they shouldn't be on the crew next year. They're looking at continuity with these crews. If the crew is bad, continuity is bad.
Yeah. Well, the one thing the Chiefs have going for them is minus the pass. Townsend has 11 punts for a 55-yard average. He is definitely flipping the field and doing a great job in punting. And that might be important in this game that's going to look like it's going to be defensive. Chiefs defense has been playing pretty well. And we know what Tampa has on defense. So the kicking and the defense is going to be – the kicking and the punting is going to be important. Special teams – that was the worst special teams game Kansas City's ever played. That was just
Memo.
the he shouldn't have been going for that punt in the 5-yard line.
Why
Let
did
it
you try
roll.
to? Yeah.
Let it roll in the end zone. And we take them on the 20 and don't give them a 3-yard touchdown drive. That was not on the defense. But I've got the Chiefs. I think they're going to do it. Should be a good game. DJ had some connection problems. He's picking Green Bay, and he's picking the Raiders. DJ, let us know who you got in the Kansas City Tampa game. Now we go to the Monday night game, the last game on the schedule, unless the Chiefs Tampa game gets moved to Monday night because of the hurricane. Got the Rams at San Francisco.
Well, you know how I said Garoppolo coming back was going to maybe fix the Niners' offensive woes?
Ooh, yeah, right.
What were you saying, Brian? Sorry about that.
He had a bad game, but he said he's not had a lot of snaps. When he came to training camp, they didn't even give him a playbook.
Right.
And so all of a sudden he's the guy. So he's not had many snaps.
Sure, and I don't think that gets fixed in a week. You can give him a playbook last week when you know that Lance is gone, but it takes a little bit of time to settle into an NFL offense, even if you're a vet like Garoppolo. It's a tough one. With the Niners, their defense, I always expect it to be this world beater, and it's just not quite there this year. The Rams have some offensive woes of their own. Stafford has played about as well as you can with a bum elbow, and that many years in the league, and the offensive line issues that they've had. The Rams defense is not as good. Of course, they miss Von Miller. This is a tough game to call. The issue that I have with picking the Niners is I just don't know where the offense is going to come from. Ayuk is not doing much. I just don't see Debo. Debo is not playing the way he has in years past. I don't know if he's hurt. They don't say that he is, but he's been unable to break anything or consistently get past the line of scrimmage. So, I might be wrong here, but I'm going to take the Rams. I think I've seen more from them. I have a larger sample size, and I believe that they are going to be more consistently able to move the ball.
Cooper Kupp's playing for you, 280 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's a lot of confidence. They're getting Higbee more involved.
Akers had a good game last week.
Yeah, the running game looked better last week. I think it's still kind of disappointing, but the running game might be coming along. But they're still not going to match San Francisco's running game. I think San Francisco's got some backs, and they've got an offensive line. I am worried about Trent Williams. He went out last week. Are you worried about whether he's playing or not?
He doesn't look like he will, from what I read this morning.
Yeah, that's not good news. The offense has allowed 8 sacks, but that's with Trent Williams. No, wait a minute. I'm looking at the wrong card. Yes, the Rams have allowed 8 sacks. Mm-hmm. Nick Bosa's coming along with San Francisco. He's got 4 sacks. They're running the ball 4.5 yards a carry and only giving up 2.8. So I think the Rams running game is going to take a step back this week, trying to run against San Francisco and Bosa.
Just Williams will be out 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, so that settles it. Well, I was going with San Francisco, but Lovie Smith says the Chiefs.
We don't like you either, Lovie.
He must have heard me. So I picked San Francisco. DJ's got the Niners. DJ's out on the West Coast. He likes San Francisco, loves the Rams. But they tend to find a way to win against the Rams, San Francisco does. So Shanahan against Sean McVay, two great coaches. Does one of them dominate the other?
I think Shanahan has
been dominating.
been dominant. Let me see about that. But yeah, two of the big time coaches.
They're trying to get the ball to Tyler Higbee more and more. So I think he's a good choice to play on your fantasy team.
There you go. Hey, in 10 matchups in the Shanahan-McVay era, the Niners have won 7, including 6 in a row.
Okay. Maybe he'll figure it out without Trent Williams. I'll stay with San Francisco. So DJ's got the Rams. And we're waiting to hear from Apolori. She says Niners. You're probably right on the Niners. So Apolori's got San Francisco. That's it for the picks this week. Thanks for joining us, DJ John 444, Apolori, and Jake Cruz. Thank you for joining us. We do this every week on every Tuesday, and I want to encourage you to now go to our competitor channel. That's Rob Rob exclamation point on YouTube. He's a good friend of mine, and they pick differently, but they are now picking straight up games, but they like to pick the lines, and they like to pick the top 25 colleges if you're interested in that action. He's got a great channel, so check him out, Rob exclamation point, and he's probably on now. Usually starts, I think, about 7 o'clock our time. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. And Dan, thanks for being with us. God bless you all. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Brian. Let's hope for a good week.
Yep.